Hello everyone and welcome to today's Stocks and Crypto YouTube Charts video. I am No FOMO Charts. Today is Saturday, March 22, 2025, just about 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Welcome everyone. This is a swing trading and investing YouTube Charts channel and video. Let's start up with stocks. Upcoming earnings releases, we have McCormick, GameStop, Dollar Tree, Chewy, Petco, and Lululemon. Economic data, we have manufacturing PMI, services PMI, final GDP, unemployment claims, and core PCE price index. The USA Federal Reserve holds interest rates steady, and they still see 2 interest rate cuts coming this year. President Trump indicated he would retain flexibility when it comes to a reciprocal tariff plan set for April 2nd. Tesla CEO Elon Musk held an impromptu all-hands-on-deck company meeting regarding progress of Tesla. Nvidia will open a quantum computing lab, and the CEO admitted he was wrong about the timeline regarding useful quantum computers. And the US SEC Crypto Task Force held its first public meeting focusing on how securities laws might apply to digital assets. Now, last week's economic data regarding CPI and PPI inflation data was actually good. However, that news was superseded by tariff news and a stock market sell-off. And lastly, next month in April, stock market earnings season will officially begin again with big banks and tech and retail, etc. So April, we're going to get a lot more data in earnings releases. Stocks, S&P 500. Let's talk about the good and the bad. The good news is we have a little bit of this relief bounce rally holding above 559. The bad news is we're still under the 200 red EMA, which is also the 570 resistance level. So the two scenarios I'm looking for in S&P 500 is if we're bullish, we need to hold the higher low or at least make a double bottom. So we have to not drop below 550 this month. For 30 to 45 days, it's not good if we drop below $550. So the bearish scenario, just to warn people, is we can reject down below this 200 EMA and continue downtrending. Bullish scenarios are we can come down a little bit in the price, but make a double bottom and then earnings. Let's say if we have massively good earnings, then maybe that will give us some relief, reversion to the mean, hopefully. So just understanding that right now it's very data-driven, data-dependent, and news-driven. There's so much political influence on the stock market right now affecting the outlook of U.S. economy, stock market, global economies, tariffs, taxes, prices, inflation. That's all kind of flowing through traders' minds and investors' minds, at least. So what I'm going to say right now is we are under the 200 EMA in this red. This has happened before in 2023, and this has happened before in January to February 2022. So it remains to be seen, are we going to bounce in the next 30 to 60 days? Yes or no? It's all data dependent and news dependent. Nasdaq, QQQ. Nasdaq QQQ ETF is very similar. We're holding above 473 and the resistance is 484. So we're basically consolidating a little bit. We had a little bit of good news coming out of the tech sector, but if we Fibonacci this, let's put up a Fibonacci from the 2023 low, which is basically, or 2022 low, which is essentially the interest rate inflation peak of inflation. We're just basically bouncing right off that 236 level right in the red here. So we are stuck between 472 and 485. And the same price scenario applies. We can have a bearish scenario, just keep selling off. If that happens, it needs to break below 472 and crash below that. If we have a bullish scenario, it needs to hold above 473, which seems to be holding for about 5 days now. But we haven't had the breakout yet, and that's what I'm looking for. but maybe that'll happen in a month from now. Again, for QQQ, this has happened before in the past in October 23 and February 2022, except that high to low crash was negative 20% on the index. We did not crash negative 20%. We crashed negative 14. And this has happened before in August 2024. So the most bullish scenario I can present is August 2024 price action. Will that happen again or not? If it doesn't, so that's the bullish case, August 2024. The bearish case is February 2022, where maybe we bounce up to that. Let me zoom in so people really can see this. Maybe we bounce up. This is happening right now. This is like similar price action. This is January 2022, similar price action, flagging to the side. Maybe if we break bullish, we hit one of these EMAs, the 20 EMA, and we'll dip and maybe we'll bounce again. If that doesn't happen, then we're going to crash. So traders right now anticipating some kind of potential bounce. We're looking forward to earnings, even though the tariff news just keeps getting worse and worse. Can we hold and bounce up to the 490 area? Dow Jones, very similar, very nice. We hit my bullish target from last time, the reversion to the mean strategy, just for one day though. So very similar price actions in terms of we're in this downtrend, finally have a little bit of relief, but we can still dip down all the way down to 409. We need to break above 421 in the same price action as SPY and QQQ. Now, IWM is slightly different. We have a death cross on the EMAs. This is my 50 EMA, death crossing below my 200 red EMA in the blue here circle. However, the price action is showing it's rejecting. There is a little bit of hope, even though this is very bearish right here in terms of the price action is downtrending. We have the death cross. There's a little bit of hope here and the potential upside down and shoulders, something that can actually be measured. So let's go 4.5% from this breakout would take us back to approximately the 50 EMA zone, which is about $215. I'm going to give that 1 to 3 months if that's a bullish scenario for basic swing trading or options. Now, I'm also seeing a potential double top, so it's not all bullish to me. If this M here can also be measured and go down to the downside, so it could go down to 200 or 198. So just watch out for that downside target as well. Okay, let's rapid fire and then move on. Let's do some of these Magnificent 7 stocks. I'll just talk about the price action. So Apple having a nice bounce off of its 50% to 11 price, nice reversion to the mean here. But we can see that oftentimes when Apple goes 15% down, which this is the second time it happened, if I put up a Bollinger Band and a linear regression, it's for 1 day, 2 days, it was right outside of that zone. And it's bouncing, holding up that support. So I like that. Let's put up a pivot, pierce into the pivot, reversion to the mean. Great. For now, it needs to hold the support level, meaning we have to stop crashing in the market for us to actually survive here and thrive. So Nvidia bouncing off that 226 level. We had this nice oversold reaction on intraday and holding above the 115 mark. I'm starting to see a bit of this type of triangle pattern or this descending wedge. So the upside target is probably 127, downside target is 104. Microsoft with the death cross, very severe right here. However, again, there looks to be like a potential upside down head and shoulders just because of that quantum news. It is still downtrending in this death cross, but I like that the price is trying to hold on here, trying to hold on. So it could go potentially 3% if we keep having a bullish reaction in this market on Microsoft. Otherwise, it's probably going to retest support, which is 379. Google. Now, Google quite oversold, even though they had their quantum computing chip, right? That news. It's basically 15%. It was maximum almost 18% off, but it's 15% off. Google has gone 22%. So I'm saying this type of action is not the same setup. This previously in August 24, they had a bounce off the 200 EMA, rejection down from 100 EMA, and then now we're in no man's land before it rallied back up. So what I'm seeing here on the linear regression, it's very hard to see. It's not quite out of that linear regression line on the bottom here, which is coincidentally the 618 here at 160 price. But the sell-off is pretty severe. So if Google has any other news, I'm liking that the squeeze is building and the MACD histogram is building, but it could take 1 month for us to actually rally. Basically, when does fear subside? That's the question in the market. Amazon as well. I mean, we had this drop before of 20%, almost 20%. And I like how the MACD histogram is building. This is one of my setups that's building. I can't wait till it's over, however. So as long as we hold above 190, I'm kind of liking this setup of Amazon. But remember, earnings April 24, so basically 1 month from now. Meta as well dipped down to the 200 EMA. It's 20% lower cost than it is. It's obviously in a bearish downtrend. Nobody really wants to buy this right now. But if I'm a longer term investor or a short term trader, maybe we could just get a little relief bounce of 4 to 8%. Maybe it could bounce all the way up to 633. That's what I'm hoping for. Tesla as well. Okay, Tesla, I'm not going to get into the politics or the ethics here. All I'm going to say is if I objectively look at this and just look at price action, try to not get influenced by emotions or politics, is Tesla stock is 48% off and it has a potential double bottom. So I'm not going to explain anything else that's happening on the news. I'm just going to call those numbers out. And let's look at, for me, I have to make a decision. Is the price going to go up, sideways, or down? And do I want to buy a stock or sell a stock or hold a stock or skip it, right? So it's just something I'm noticing that, this price bounced off for 209 and see if it could actually continue up to 300 if it's possible. If not, it might just consolidate or it could just reject back down to 215. So Tesla, they're meeting, they're trying to save their stock price, obviously. Intel, a little bit dirty here going sideways. Not the most pretty pattern, but like I said, remember, whenever this price gets down to like this $19 range here on support, we have a nice bounce. And it was an analyst price upgrade. That was just a phenomenon. If anyone caught that last options trade, congratulations. It's amazing, right? There's a 30% pop on that. Just amazing, 20%. I was trading other things, so I didn't catch this last one, but I traded Intel 3 times already. So, okay, it's been good. All right, U.S. oil, death cross, but again, this symmetrical triangle going sideways, a little bit of reversion to the mean here. And the death cross is not the end of the world for stocks, but the last time we got death cross, sometimes we get that reversion to the mean. So let's see if that pushes a little bit more up into 74, 65 or not. Natural gas, what I want to warn people of is we do have a golden cross, but I see a little bit of this head and shoulders action. So the weather is starting to get a little bit warmer, spring soon, and spring season, and then into summer. So let's see if this could go down 5 to 10%. The 10% target is $19. Let's do gold, finish off, and move on. Gold and copper, what I want to warn about is there's starting to be some bearish momentum that's showing up on the oscillators. You see this RSI making a lower low, the MACD histogram making a lower low, and the price also making a higher high. So it's just a matter of how far we're going to dip down. So we might see inverse correlations happening with if the stock market goes up like SPY, maybe gold will come down as the fear subsides. So that's all I'm saying. One potential scenario, copper as well with that same setup of bearish momentum. And it's right outside the linear regression zone for the past 100 days. So we're going to see if that dips down or not to about $31. Okay, let's move to crypto. Total crypto market cap. So there's good and bad. Now I use exponential moving averages, EMAs, in my yellow and red. My yellow 50 EMA and my red 200 EMA. I don't usually show simple moving averages, but if I actually pull 2 of them up here just very quickly, and if I set it to a 50 and I'll put it on maximum, and then I put the bottom one on a 200. Sometimes I just put this on because if I don't pay attention to other EMA colors and EMA style, in terms of the length, like SMA versus EMA, sometimes you miss it, right? So right now, it's not death crossed. So that's something I check. However, if you rewind to Nvidia, for example, it is death cross. So that's what people are nervous about on Nvidia. Simple moving averages did death cross on Nvidia. So total crypto market cap. We're below the 200 EMA and the 20 EMA right now, downtrending. Let's see if we hit this target. Did we hit the bearish target of 15%? We did. And so we relieved and had a little relief bounce. I like that the squeeze is building momentum. The MACD's open above the signal line, and we had that the bullish momentum set up with the bounce. And now we're neutral, 46 in the RSI. So all I'm going to say is resistance 2.8 trillion to 2.87, and we need to hold above support of 2.63 down here. Because if it dips down and continues down, we're going to see more red selling. Let's check. Is it outside the Bollinger Bands? No, it's not. So it's not an extreme setup. And the pivot point is 2.93. So these are the two levels I'm going to mark. Let's go to Bitcoin. Very important favorite crypto here, Bitcoin. Now, we are below this 200 EMA. We're stuck below the 85,000 range. And when's the last time this has happened? The very, very last time this happened was August 24, July 24 as well. What I want to caution here is, what I was looking at this right before I made this video, is the price action that I'm seeing right now is similar to the crash of 2022, February 2022. This is the same interest rate spot where interest rates and inflation, interest rates started going up in the stock market, and inflation was at a maximum right here. So you can see we downtrend and then we are stuck below a death cross. It hasn't happened yet, but I'm warning people, this could happen. If we continue to have a sell-off, we might death cross, and then we'll have one relief bounce. If there's no good news for the rest of the year, then we're going to continue to downtrend. Remember, crypto is very sensitive, susceptible to selling off, to sentiment. Now, the only bullish scenario I can give is the last time, sometimes we dip below these 200 EMAs, we might have a little relief bounce. The only problem is it's $84,000 Bitcoin. That's not cheap. It's not cheap. We bottomed out at $15,000 Bitcoin. 15,000 versus 85,000 versus 105,000 is expensive still right now. So in terms of the Fibonacci, we're stuck below that 236 level. The pivot points were under the pivot point, so it's still bearish as of this day. The only thing that could save us in this market is consistent uptrending reversal. And that's going to have to happen off of massive news. We even had the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve announcement, and then people just sold off. It's sell the news event. It's just too expensive. My experience is, if we had ETF approvals and Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, theoretically, okay, this is theoretical. Let's just say 1 year ago in 24, or even 2 years ago in 23 would have been the perfect spot to make that announcement. But usually all this actions that's taking place in the government and Wall Street, it happens after the price goes up. It doesn't happen during the downtrend, okay? So that's just one kind of like sentiment marker that I know. We're probably at a high zone right now, or the price is too high. Ethereum, massive downtrend with this death cross. Downtrend in the price, massive down cross. Now, all I'm looking for is when are we going to get the super oversold setup? And I'm starting to see some of it. We had that bullish momentum is holding this EMA. We know, if you know crypto, if the price holds above the EMA and doesn't go down, then it's probably going to bounce up. I'm looking for that setup long term. We have this MACD open, RSI open, and the squeeze is building. So if I want to buy more Ethereum, my instinct is maybe I want to buy some soon because Ethereum is 50% off from the all-time high of $4,000. That's not financial advice. That's just my style. Is sometimes when it crashes a lot, right? When it crashes a lot, 50% off, you get some kind of little bit of bounce. Sometimes that happens. XRP, not the prettiest setup. I mean, if we look at a weekly chart, it could still be interpreted as some kind of head and shoulders pattern that's still getting stuck below the neckline. So it's not really the most bullish pattern for me. It's just reversion to the mean of $2.38. Pivot points on weekly, we're stuck below that. I do like on a weekly that there might be a Morningstar bullish reversal pattern. On the daily, we're holding right above the pivot point of $2.30. But if it breaks down below that, just understand, watch out, the flash crash to $2, then we might get an upside down head and shoulders somewhere down here near the EMA. Solana. Solana's still in the death cross. Here, the downtrend very severe and 50% off from all-time highs. But if we look at the bottom of Solana, which was $8, my gosh, is $10, right? Still, 500% up. But in terms of the flash crash, this is pretty severe. We haven't had this exact severe flash crash in a long time, for about 1 year now. So in terms of the price, remember it's 50% off right now, but it's in a downtrend. Now, as a long-term hodler, I'm not interested in this. I'm talking about short-term, medium-term swing trading, just trying to get maybe if there's going to be a 5, 10, 15, 20% bounce, if it's going to happen, we need to hold above this 112 level and the 122. This is aggressive trading. It's really not smart or not smart. It's not reliable to buy when we're in a downtrend. That's what I was saying last week. I want to buy when we're uptrending. If I'm long, if I'm a bull, if I'm trying to make gains on the green side, on the buy side, it needs to be going up. The price is not doing that right now. But if you're very, very aggressive, sometimes I am, in the market, it depends on what's happening, right? Probably the best aggressive spot was when it dipped out of that Bollinger Band on March 10th, when we started to have like massive stock market fear. In these zones, right? When you're dipping outside of the price zone of the Keltner channel or the Bollinger Band or the Lin regression channel. That hasn't happened on this crypto yet, but you get my point. When it's really oversold dip and maximum fear, probably need to buy some of that because you're probably going to make like a 5-10% bounce. But right now, we need to hold above 125 Solana. Please, Solana. That's all I'm going to ask for. All right, let's wrap up here. Cardano. Now, Cardano's interesting. I watch Cardano every single day, basically. I have a chart open on certain cryptos and stocks like every day. So all I'm looking at is this 618 here. It's holding above 66 cents. That's basically the 618, right? In this Fibonacci cycle, this zone, retracement, right? We came down. And then what am I seeing? Except for if you kind of don't pay attention to this little Trump strategic reserve play, which was very nice. I really appreciated that in the market. If you just ignore the size of that and just treat it as a regular neckline, we might have a upside down head and shoulders. Maybe. Okay. So if that happens, I am preparing myself for what is the setup then? If it's bullish, because if everyone's really scared right now and everyone's maximum trying to short this thing down, we could have a massive short squeeze that's triggered by retail traders. It's happened before. It happened last year in May on GameStop, AMC, COS, Reddit. Actually, Reddit maybe IPO'd after that, but the Reddit crowd, Wall Street bets. So maybe that might happen again in May for crypto. That's why. Never give up on the charts. So we could have a 30% breakout on Cardano, which would take us to 91 cents. That's a maybe. This could fail because under the 200 EMA, if that fails, probably going to dump down all the way down to like 55 cents. That's what I'm watching out for. Let's do one last one, and then we're going to end. Dogecoin. Dogecoin, everybody's favorite dog meme coin besides Shiba Inu. So we have the death cross here, but remember the price. Remember, price. Negative 63% off. Let's Fibonacci that from the most recent September 2024 low to the December 24 high. That's the 786 level. So even though this isn't a death cross, remember last week I was saying aggressive versus conservative. Conservative, I'm not going to buy any of this. Conservative, I'm not going to buy it. I'm going to wait for an actual price change turnaround, going from downtrend to sideways to uptrend. Then I buy. Right now, it's aggressive. If I'm buying anything right now as a bull, it's an aggressive play for trading, swing trading, and investing, because there's no guarantee that this thing's going to go up. In fact, crypto, sometimes when you rewind Dogecoin to the mega rally it had, from high to low, got to turn a magnet onto this. High to low, it went 93% off. That's when you want to buy. When cryptos are 90% off, that's when I start picking up and buying cryptos. That's a secret. Right now, it's 65%. It could keep crashing 20, 30%. So basically, if Dogecoin ever goes back down to 5 cents or maybe 8 cents, way down here, I might buy some, like a lot more. But if it's right here at 17 cents, that's still pretty high for me. We might get a little bit of little flash, we might get a little relief bounce up to 21 cents, where that's happened before, maybe 1 or 2 times, or we could get a flash crash dump down to 13 cents. So if I want the best price, I probably have to wait for a flash crash or a retest of 14 cents. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, go ahead and click subscribe, like, follow me on YouTube and TradingView. And remember, everybody, risk management, position sizing, patience, discipline, and just staying alive, thriving, and surviving in the stock and crypto market this year. See you in the next video.